Beverly, would you like to introduce our speaker?
As we know, at Every.Black meetings, we do have a speaker, and tonight it gives me pleasure to introduce our speaker, Rosalind Severin McClean, best-selling author and poet. Rosalind Severin McClean, best-selling author of Oceans of Thoughts, Book 1 and Book 2, is known for her profound and most inspiring writing style. Her impressive work in poetry has claimed excellent reviews from her many audience, both local and international. Not only has she participated in open mic events and writers' editions in newspaper articles to showcase her work, but she's also featured in the Queen's Underground Film Festival Poetry Showcase. Rosaline is an exemplary performer in the art, dance, and culture. She has been interviewed on radio talk shows including Civic Vibes on Q95 FM and Connecting the Dots on DBS Radio in Dominica, TDN Radio Caribbean, Metaphorically Speaking on Colorful Radio UK, The Diane Reid Show, Mind, Body, Spirit FM in Florida, Live Your True Life Perspective with Ashley Bridges, Dallas, Texas. The Writer's Parachute episode 35, Florida, and has appeared on TV stations, ABS Today, Antigua Bridget Street, 9 ABC Syracuse, New York, KGE TV 17, Bakersfield, California, and WSFL TV's Inside South Florida to discuss her previous books, Ocean of Thoughts, Book 1 and Book 2. Born in the Commonwealth of Dominica to Mr. and Mrs. Clifford A. Severin, Mrs. McClean lived with her daughter, Malty McClean, in Queens, New York. Okay, good evening, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me pleasure to introduce to you our speaker from the Nature Isle of the Caribbean, Rosalind Severin McClean.
Thank you so much, Beverly, for introducing me in such a grand way. So yeah, thank you so much. And yes, I have written 3 books in Oceans of Thoughts book series, and they're actually available on Amazon, Ingram Spark, and Barnes and Noble. So I would hope that you could ask me some questions as to what you want me to speak about. And as the theme is, I notice, it's about self and about how people see you and how you see people. But with Oceans of Thoughts is like my autobiography written through poetry, which is a bit different, or very different from the novel style autobiography. In Oceans of Thoughts, I go into the self within. I look into the self, myself within, which will relate to yourself within. And I speak on that level of self. My inspiration comes from far beyond. It really channels in from the greater infinite that's limitless. There's no one thing or one person or one of anything that inspires Oceans of Thoughts. Oceans of Thoughts is, as it says, an oceans, and the oceans go through not only the oceans in the sea, that which most people think that's what it's about until they start reading. Then they realize the oceans is the infinite, the limitless, the frequencies, and all that matters in making up the self. I touch within, I address social issues in my work because social issues relate to just about everybody. No one is spared from that. I grew up as a child in Dominica, very strict home. At the time when I grew up in the late 50s, 1960s, into the early 70s, before I left Dominica, that was a time when children were not heard. Children did not have a voice. We did not have a voice, no matter what it was. There was no voice. We had to keep quiet. That was the discipline back in the days. And the Oceans of Thoughts gave me that voice, gives me that inner voice of the inner child that was never heard. So guess what? Now I'm being heard. It was a time when I was told that no one would listen to me, no one would read my work. Like they thought that I was crazy when I were reciting my own little poetry as a child, because I would write and I would just say things, and not knowing exactly where it came from, but it came from a place, and I was always cast as being the black sheep, the black sheep that did not know anything. Academically, I was not bright enough for the academics of the island back in the days, because all the focus in education at that time was academic. If you're not academically bright, you were basically you were well, cast out would sound kind of may sound kind of harsh, but in a nutshell, that's what it was. You're not part of it, because all the focus was on that. Or although for me, my I shone more in sports and dance and culture and stage performance and that line. I did finish high school, going to fifth form and the lot, but I spent a lot of time, or I should say, mind development in music, dance, and culture, if that's a good way to put it. The One of the ways I would say that was like a hiding point for being always told that you're not good enough, in a nutshell. So with that said, my music, my sports, I excelled in that. I used to have my own band. We had a band, the Missing Dimensions band, and that band I spoke about in Oceans of Thoughts book 2. I spoke on the whole history of the band when we started off. We were teenagers. I was about 15, 14, 15. The youngest of the band was 13. We were all girls. We were the only girl band in Dominica at the time, and in the Caribbean, maybe in the world, who knows. But back then, in the late 60s, early 70s, the Missing Dimensions band of Dominica, all girl band, was the band that was spoken about. I played the guitar and I played the piano. I learned piano from a child, and we had one of the other girls, Jennifer Fadell Johnson. She played the lead guitar. Another girl, Anolda Williams, played the bass. Ella Butler played the drums, and we had one played the percussions. So we had a well-formed band, a well-full band that lasted a good 7 years, you know. And the history of that band is in Oceans of Thoughts book 2. That's made a big hit for in the book, because as I mentioned, I'm talking about my life experiences. I'm talking about my autobiography, but through poetry. So it's a vibe. The whole Oceans of Thoughts book series is a vibe. Oceans of Thoughts book series, book 1 speaks a lot on. It's a picture. I don't have the camera to show you the books, but it's a pink cover. It's on they're on Amazon, as I mentioned. But Oceans of Thoughts book 1 speaks a lot of grief. It speaks on grief. It speaks on relationships. It speaks on sister relationship, family relationships. It speaks on the pretense of family togetherness, which is very common in just about every household. So there is a pretense, a pretending, a pretense of the kindness, of the respect. There's a pretense of getting along with each other. It's all a big pretense, and this is something that we as human beings need to grow and need to find within, so we can help to fix that pretense of life. It happens everywhere. You could call that silent bullying, and I did speak about the silent bully in Oceans of Thoughts book 2, because the silent bully is a big factor of life and in human life, as we speak about humans, in households, in schools, and jobs, just about in every aspect of life. You have the silent bully, which is very hardly addressed, because the silent bully is the bully that's never detected, because the silent bully always seem to go scot-free, because there's always a little lie, because they cannot get caught until they're caught. So in a nutshell, I brought in the silent bully and the relationships of the pretense in Oceans of Thoughts book 2, and that part of my life too, because I'm talking about my experiences, so I have experienced that. So I brought it in. I brought it to light. As I said, Oceans of Thought is the voice that was not heard, and now I'm being heard. And well, I was told that no one listened to me, but now the world has my books, and the world is listening, because Oceans of Thoughts relates to everyone. There's no exempt. There's no exemption here. You know, man, woman, child. Well, when I say child, I mean teenagers, because Oceans of Thoughts, it's more for teenagers, young adults through to seniors, college students, university students, because they're actually in universities at the moment. You know, as well, I hope as recommended reading, because a lot of literature, a lot of social studies, a lot of social sciences and history is addressed in Oceans of Thought through the series. Um, I would like one of you or someone to ask me a few questions so I could get a little more direction as to where else to go, because Oceans of Thought is a whole complete package of different genres of writing, you know, if I should put it that way in a nutshell. Um, according to the theme of what I'm hearing right now, I'm hearing of this the self-development and I guess more self-esteem, because if you're looking to see what someone says about you to make you feel better, or to make you feel like, okay, well, am I saying the truth or not? That's lack of self-esteem. So in a nutshell, Oceans of Thoughts will definitely help you build up that self-esteem, help you build up that, you know, whatever it takes for you to develop your inner self, to help that inner child or inner self speak, because Oceans of Thought is a voice. In Oceans of Thoughts, book 3, talking about inner child and speak, I wrote, it's a very deep book. In fact, the series is very deep. In Oceans of Thoughts, book 3, I address the voice of the voiceless, the voice of the voiceless, the voice that speaks out for the voiceless, the voice that will stand up and will stand alone, the voice that knows that when they speak up and speak out, they stand alone. They stand alone. They always criticized and go there's 9 yards back because they speak the truth. No one wants to hear the truth. Everyone wants a little lie here and there. Everyone wants to say, well, okay, that can pass. But voice of the voiceless says no. Voice of the voiceless says, I'm strong and I can speak out and you're going to listen to me. And voice of the voiceless will ask you, which voice are you? You know, I also addressed a series on love, but the love that I addressed is not the love I'm hearing about. I address the love that will take you deep inside, that will give you a balance, that's trying to help you balance what love really is. Is love a show or is love meaningful? Because a lot of times it's just a show, and a lot of times it's a stage. We think that, oh, because we have a relationship or we have this or we have that, we're in love or there's love. But after a while, something happens and then you fall out of love. Was that really love? So I took it I guess a different level. I took it on a different angle, that maybe more the word, and I addressed love in Oceans of Thoughts, book 3. Um, I'm just going from book to book, and you know, I also address a lot on respect. Because respect is something that's lacking in many of us. You know, everyone has an opinion. Everyone is right, and as long as you're always right, you have no room for improvement. And Oceans of Thoughts address that as well, because it's a self-healing book series. It's going to help you look within yourself, and it's going to help you address issues that you have hidden within yourself. Um,
We
if
have
that's,
two hands up, Rosalind.
what's
Are
that?
you ready to take questions now?
Yeah, sure. I'm inviting questions because
Okay,
that's going to
Jimmy,
happen
go ahead.
more.
I'll let you go before me, Jimmy.
Okay. Yeah, I was just waiting for you to take a break. I was just going to ask, when you first started, you said that, you had challenges where people didn't understand what you were doing. They didn't give you credit, that type of thing. They were very negative, basically. Did you have any mentors along the way that encouraged you, um, that had an impact on your life that really helped you develop into the writer and poet that you are today?
That's a good question. Um, when I was a child, my dad, my father, was the one in the household who had my back. He was the one who thought I was good enough. And I addressed that in Oceans of Thoughts, Book 3. And because, as I remember, I mentioned to you that academically, I was not as bright as the brightness that everyone talks about. Because, everyone thinks or thought back then, if you were not that bright, nothing could come up your way. Now, in this modern time, it shows that that's not true. And maybe I could say I'm a product of that. Because here I am, I have 3 books and one on the way, another one coming up. That's 2 others, 3 others coming up, or whatever. And, I did not go to school for it. I went to the school of the infinite. Okay, so going back to your question, as if I had any mentors to mentor me to writing, I'm sorry, no, I don't remember having any mentor. I remember being told all the time that I wasn't good enough. I remember being told all the time that, what are you saying? You're not making any sense, or you're talking nonsense, or whatever, you know. But as far as for writing the poetry, no, I don't remember having that. I remember my dad always telling me, "Don't worry, it's okay. Don't listen to them. Just do what you're doing." And I would just write and put it aside. There were days back in the days when they had cassette recording, so that's way back when the cassette tape and writing things on paper and putting people all around the house, which I still do, you know. And yeah, we did Shakespeare in school, we did other books in school and literature and so, but I don't write like that. I cannot write like that. It doesn't align that way for me to write. So in a nutshell, I when I answer that question, people look at me funny, but that's how it is. I do not have that. For dance and culture, I can say, yeah, because I've been dancing since I'm a child. And I can say, well, my mother used to dance and I wanted to dance maybe like her, but I still don't dance like her. I dance ballet. I dance the cultural dance of Dominica. And I teach it. I have taught it for many years and I have excelled in it. And, the dancers who dance with me have excelled in it. So, but as far as for my writing, um, no, I do my poetry on my own. I write whatever comes, whenever it comes. I write with the inspiration. I write with a vision. Whatever vision comes, it will tell me what to write and how to write it. And if I will do it wrong, it will not sit right until I do it the way it's supposed to be done. I write with a vision. All my work in the truly they are life experiences, but the way they're written it comes through a vision. I cannot just write this on my own. It's not going to work if I do it on my own, so to speak. It doesn't. I have a lot more that I have done for future books, and I get the same question all the time: who inspired me to write? Did I follow anyone or did I look at anyone's work? No, I didn't. There was whose work? Whose work would I look at to write this? I don't know. It just didn't align for me to do it that way. It aligned to do it the way I was chosen to do it.
Thank you.
Does it answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any other
Rosalind,
question?
I have a question. I like the title of the books, Oceans of Thoughts. And I mean, I know you just said, okay, you get a vision, you get inspired. What inspired you for the titles?
Well, I'll tell you what it is. I have all this work written, and to be able to put all my poetry in the different books, in the different what do you call it, categories, as you can see they're labeled in different categories in the table of contents. I took a course to know how to do that because I had absolutely no idea how to put anything in a book. I just know how to write, and I had all this book there. And my daughter kept pushing me, "Mommy, do a book, do a book." And so I did a course with a gentleman called Donat Mitchell, and you can look him up online. And he taught me, or showed my daughter and I, because she was on the course with me, how to put the work in categories. And then my daughter says, "Oh, we need a title to go with what you wrote." And I kept saying, well, maybe we can use oceans. And I thought of all different types of things that probably would match the type of book that I have. And my daughter is the one who, um, she and her mastermind, and she brainstormed a few words. She took what I was telling her. I said, well, this has to do with thoughts, and this has to do with the oceans, not the ocean in the sea, the oceans in the sky. I said the oceans in the atmosphere, the oceans that's infinite, the oceans that no one can see. This what I'm writing has to do with that. And she says, well, that's it, ocean of thoughts. And I said, no, oceans, because we didn't need more than one ocean. So, because if you say ocean, everyone will think it's the sea. And I'm not talking about the sea, I'm talking about something that's far beyond. Because we align with the water, we also align with the atmosphere, we also align with the infinite if we know how to channel it. If we know how to channel in the frequencies to work with us, we also align with that. And on that spiritual level, my daughter and I put the words together, oceans of thoughts, and it just stuck. In
This is good. The links for the books, book 1, 2, and 3 are in the chat. And yeah, so if you want, and they're on Amazon, if you can get the link and then go there and get your copy of either one. Well, I'd advise you to start with 1 and then move to 3.
move to
So
two
thank you for
instruments.
sharing. I was really curious in terms of the title and how you came up with the title. So thank you for sharing some light on this.
Yeah, thank you so much too for having me on your platform. This came as a big surprise, as I didn't realize it would happen so fast. The only thing I don't know how to do this too much of the computer, because my daughter is a computer expertise on oceans of thought. She knows everything. I just know how to write it, and she does the rest. And so I'm very sorry that I couldn't be seen, and you know, but on the other hand, at least I could be heard, and oceans of
Yes,
thoughts, my voice is my
that's
voice.
good.
So thank you. I hope that you're be inspired by my work, and my work takes off to different boundaries, in on your platform and elsewhere, because that's the in a nutshell, that's the reason for oceans of thoughts to cross borders and to be read, to be learned, to help, because they are helping many people have help to see yourself within, and to touch places where you've hidden. Oceans of thoughts will do that. It will touch you where you hid, and to bring it out, and then you wonder why. But that's the work of oceans of thoughts, and it's doing it. So I really hope that everyone is inspired and support the work of oceans of thoughts and be on the journey with me, because I know it's going to help you the same way it helps me. So thank you so much for listening to me and for supporting Oceans of Thoughts.
Thank you, Rosalind. Anybody has any questions for Rosalind? Any more questions in terms of the book or anything that she said? Don't forget to check out the links. We place them in the chat. Jimmy, over to you.
Well, sure. The only thing I was going to say is we only have a small group tonight, but thank you, Miss Rosalind, for sharing your information about your books and your life, a little bit about your life.